Okay, so we have our first scheduled meeting tomorrow at 8:45. So log into Teams and we'll have a test run, see how it goes. Shape tweens. So we've looked at motion tweens. We want to explore some of the other tween options. There's a classic tween, which we will be using. We'll be using graphic symbols. We'll be doing a lot more, but this is something that we saw a lot in the spring, where the message was flatten the curve for COVID. So this animation was seen often, where the spike in cases, they wanted to get the cases leveled off. So this animation was used in information websites. So this is used and put together pretty quickly, I would say, in simple 2D animation using keyframes for changing the text and a shape tween for changing this curve. So in Animate, let's create this graph together. So let's make the width of this 800, and it's pretty much a square, so we'll just make it 800 by 800, 24 frame rate, and we could do it as a HTML, but let's just leave it ActionScript just for now. Click Create. We could always convert it later as well. So I've shown this, I think, in previous videos, but sometimes it's easier to extend your timeline. So if I just hover over top of it like this, we can extend the timeline just to see kind of all the layers that are in there. So I'm going to double click on this one. I'm going to call it background. I'm going to zoom out just so I can see the entire thing. I'm going to grab the rectangle tool. I'm going to make no stroke, and I'm just going to make this background maybe similar to what we saw there in that that example. You can make yours different if you want. I'm going to keep object draw on. I'm just going to cover the stage, and I'm going to lock this layer. I'm going to create a new layer. Now this is my graph. We haven't used the line tool yet, but the line tool is pretty straightforward. So if I select it, I'll just change this alpha to back to 100. I'll make it black. Now the line, we can choose different styles for lines. We can choose the different stroke height. Let's just go with 3. Now when I click and drag, I can put this line anywhere. If I hold down Shift, it goes at 45-degree angles. So if I want it horizontal, I'll just hold down Shift. I'll just drag this across. Okay, I will go back to this point here. I'll drag this up. Now I'm going to go to my Polystar tool. Remember, we use this for our falling stars. I'm going to click on Options, and I'm going to click on Number of Sides. I'm going to change that to 3. Now I'm going to zoom back in here. I'm going to click back on this, just double check that this Polystar is 3, or polygon is 3 sides, and I'm going to make this black, no stroke. And I'm just going to make an arrow. Now I want to have the exact same size and everything, so I'm just going to select it, edit, copy, grab my hand tool, move down here. I'm going to go edit, paste. So if I just go Control V, it pastes here. Now I could turn this using my free transform, and I just go to the corner. I can rotate it. Again, I can hold down Shift and it'll go on a 45-degree angle. I'll just move it to here. Okay, so I've got my graph in here. I'll pull this back just a little bit. Go to 100%, target. Maybe it has to be a little bit less, so I'm going to go fit in the window. Okay, so maybe I'll look back on this and go, I want to change the size of both of these. So I'll just click on both here, and I'll just change the size of the arrows, make them just a little bit smaller. Okay, so I made them both the exact same size. They just kind of snap into place there. Now, I'm going to lock this layer because I don't want it to be affected by anything. The text tool. So I'm going to go back to this. So we got number of cases, time since first case. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to click here. Sorry, time since first case. So when I click here, I can change my font if I want. Remember, I can change the size of it. I'm just going to make it 70 for the moment. I don't know what it's going to do. Now, I haven't started a new layer, so I'm going to go no. I'll create new layer. So I'm going to click here. So I just type out what I want to since first case. So I'm going to type out what I need to have, and then I'm going to change the size of it. I'm going to make this 42, and I'll just drag it. So I have some guides that are kind of popping up here. I can use my arrow keys on my keyboard. Now, I also want to create another one. So I'm going to click on the text tool again, and this time I want it to go number of cases, so it's going to go sideways here. So I'm just going to click this first. Go number of cases. Again, I grab the rotate. Now, if I want to just flip this, I could also modify transform, and I could rotate. Okay, so that's the wrong way, so I'll just undo. So we can rotate 90 degrees clockwise, 90 degrees counterclockwise. So I would just say try one of them. If it's the way that you want it, great. If not, undo and just flip it the other way. So there's multiple ways of moving this around. I'm just going to use the arrow keys again. Just going to space this out. Okay, so I'm going to call this my text underscore graph. So I know this is specific to the graph. Now I'm going to create another layer. I'm going to call this text underscore message. Now here is where it says wash hands often. If we work together, we can slow the spread. Wash hands often, avoid all crowds, don't touch your face. So I'm going to type that out. I'm just going to pause the video while I do that. Okay, now that I've typed this out, we want the message to change. So I'm going to just extend my timeline here. This is going to happen over 6 seconds. So I'm going to go to this frame, 144. I'm going to click and drag down to highlight all of these. I'm going to press F5 to extend all of these layers, the timeline for all of them. Now I do want the message to change, so I got to make sure that I've got the right message in here. So this is how it's going to start, and then this is how it's going to end. So I'm going to go back here. So I'm going to go to 3 seconds on that layer. Some other layers are locked. I'm going to press F6 to put in a keyframe. Now watch what I do. I go back to the beginning. I'm going to click in here, select all of it. I'm going to change the color of it to, I think it was like dark pink here. Okay, so I'm going to click. Okay, Okay, so watch what happens. As the playhead goes, at this keyframe it changes. So because I put that keyframe in first, if we work together we can slow the spread. So I'm going to pause the video and type that out. Okay, so we have a couple options in here. In the example it shows that it was centered. So if I click on center, it's not working, but if I highlight it, do the same there. Then I go to this one. Oops. I'll do the same. So it's in the same spot. So I put that keyframe in and then it changes. So if I just hit Control Enter, right now we've got, okay, so this looks good. And then now I'm going to create my curve. So I'll just pause this. Okay, I just realized I was missing one of the dotted lines here. So I'm just going to lock the text message, go to the graph. I'll just click on the eye just to make sure that this is what I'm looking at. And then I will unlock. I'll go to my line tool. Now the style, I can click here and I can pick a different style. I'm going to go to dashed. And then I'm just going to go here and I'm just going to click and drag. Now this graph doesn't have to look exactly the same. It's pretty close. I'm going fairly quickly as well. So I'm going to lock this. I'm going to unlock the text graph and change this. Actually, I'll leave it maybe there. And this is healthcare system capacity. Okay, so I know that this is not the right size, so I'm just going to highlight it, and it's not the right color. So I can change it here, and I can reduce it quite a bit. And I'm just going to slide this over. Okay, so now I'm going to lock this layer. I'm going to pause this video for a second. Okay, to create our shape, I've created a new layer. I'm going to call this my shape tween. So I'm going to grab my oval tool. I'm going to make no stroke. I've selected this color, which is the same as my text. Right now I'm just going to make this oval. Now I've clicked on, I've made sure that object draw is off. So all of my other layers are locked. This is protected. I can move this over. Now I need to manipulate this just a little bit. So what's good about a shape is that I can kind of delete what I don't want. So if I just select, click and drag, I could select this part here. This part is highlighted, and I just hit delete. Now I hover over top of this area here, and I can bend this just like we did with our basketball arc. I can bend this as well. Okay, so I've got this shape. Now I'm just going to select it, Control C to copy. I'm going to go to 3 seconds. I'm going to press F6. F6. And then I'm going to make this blue. Okay, now I don't want it to change. Actually, let's see. So it's changing. So I guess it does change back and forth. So this is easy. I'm going to make it last for about a second though. So I'm going to press F6. And then here I'm going to press F6. So again, in this, I need to lower this. So I'm just going to clear this keyframe. I'm running out of time. Another video.